Hello and welcome to another episode of T-Dog RC, and this is going to be episode 2 of my Thunder Tiger Raptor 50 refurb, shall we call it. So following on from the first episode where I was just talking a little bit about why I've bought this, etc. In this video we're going to get started actually doing some stuff. So I bought this off eBay a few weeks ago. Not to go over too much old ground from the last video, but I used to have a very long time ago, back in the mid-90s, I had a Kyosho Concept 30, and then a little bit later on, a few years after that, I had a Century Hawk Sport. So I'm not an absolute novice when it comes to helis, but certainly couldn't take one off and fly it round. Never really got past hovering it. So this is going to be a pretty big learning curve for me, and I thought I may as well bring you guys along with me to have a look. So yeah, I got this off eBay. I think I got it for a good price. It was about £170, which I think is pretty good. Came with all the radio gear and the engine. It's got a carbon fibre tail boom as well, which I understand is quite rare for these. So that's nice to have. It's all in relatively good condition. First thing I want to do is strip all this radio gear off. I'm sure it's fine, but I don't know exactly how long it's been on here. And some of the leads and things like that look quite brittle to me. And I've noticed some of them have been repaired with insulation tape and stuff like that. So I don't want to take any chances with that. So I've bought a set of these Savox even 6-volt metal gear digital servos. And the other thing is, I don't know how old those servos are, so they could be pretty old. The gyro certainly looks very old. It's a Futaba GY401. So I've also bought a GY470 as well to put in this, which is a lot more compact unit. Doesn't have a receiver either, so I've got to get all that installed. It's got a Beck on it because it actually came with a 7.4 volt 2S LiPo, which again has been sort of repaired, or I think that may have been extended with some heat shrink and stuff like that, but not going to use that. I'm going to go with a 6-volt pack, get rid of this BEC. It's also got an onboard glow. So I'll keep all that installed. That all looks okay. In terms of the plumbing for the engine, that all looks absolutely fine. It looks like it's fairly recently been run actually. The fuel is quite clear, doesn't necessarily look too old. It's not too greasy. I've cleaned it up a little bit. But obviously keen to get the engine started and tested out. Yeah, so I think first job is to get all the servos stripped out. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. And I'm going to start with this top one, which is the aileron servo, I believe. So I think that's going to be the easiest to get to. So we'll take that out, replace it with a Savox. If this is the first time you've come across my channel, by the way, this is a bit different for me. I do tend to do fixed wing balsa aircraft, but I've always been into nitro and stuff like that. So that side of it's not too unusual, but certainly a heli is something new for the channel. It's just a bit of a one-off, something that a bit of an itch that I wanted to scratch. So I'm going to be doing a few episodes on getting this back flying basically, but then I've got some more balsa projects on my list ready to go. But yeah, if it is the first time you found the channel, then help me out by hitting the subscribe button. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, and if you've got any comments, or more importantly, if you've got any hints and tips that you want to share with me, then I'd love to for you to do that. So stick a comment in the comments box and I'll read all those, and that would be very helpful if there's anything you want to help out with. Okay, enough waffle, let's start taking this thing to bits. Okay, so first thing first, I've taken the ball links off, but this one has kind of seized up and the head's all mashed up. So I think that's going to have to come off with the servo. But I've got some spares, I think, knocking around. But yeah, got to get this servo out now. I've just undone the screws. So we've got to just get it out with this mash of wires. I'm just going to get my clips so I can snip these cable ties off. Get all these off for now. There's quite a few. I think this is the last one. So let's have a look. That goes off to the gyro. So in actual fact, we can get the gyro off because that's just stuck on here. I think probably been on here for many years, so it might have to be a little bit brutal. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to need a screwdriver. There we go. Gonna need a bit of cleaning up. Pretty sure this gyro's seen better days. I'm gonna just hang on to it just whilst I get this set up, just in case there's something wrong with the old one and I need to test something. Sorry, something wrong with the new one. I need to test something, but pretty sure I'm just going to throw that away, to be honest. And then just got to neaten this bit up a bit as well with some. It's all a bit of a mess here. Actually, looks like that gyro is epoxied on, which is interesting. I'm just planning on using a 3M pad, hopefully. Okay, so back on with this servo then. Let's see if we can get it out. And we can. Right, so I'm just going to take these screws out. Like I said, I think these have come with the helicopter, and certainly these little metal plates have, I'm sure. So I'll get all these out, and then we'll have a look at installing the new servo. I think I'm going to put them in one at a time so I don't get mixed up with what goes where. Okay, so new servo's in, and I managed to find another ball link to replace this one which is stuck on there. Now, as you can see, this one's got the disc on the servo, but the ones I get with my new servos, the disc is a lot smaller, so I'm actually going to use one of these, and I've measured that out, and it's pretty much exactly where that disc was in terms of where the ball links are. Centered the servo, so it's going to put that back on there. Now, also what I've done is I've just got some Loctite, put it on my bench, and then got a pin just to apply a tiny little bit of Loctite to the threads of these little ball link, because some people say, and it probably is true, I think that Loctite, you have to be a bit careful with it because it can actually destroy the plastic on servo arms and things like that. Don't know what anyone else thinks in the comments. So you can't go sort of just pouring it all over the nut, because it can corrode the plastic, like I said, or at least sort of start to break it down. But hopefully that will be okay. So we'll get this installed, and then get these ball links put back on. And that's the first one done. Nice brand new servo. I have centered these and tested them as well, by the way, with my servo tester, because I don't want to do all that and then find that the servo doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack on and get all of this lot replaced. I think I'll start with this, carry on with this one next, which I think is the it's the elevator servo on this side. Then we've got the collective servo, then the throttle servo down there. So yeah, going to get all that replaced. I'm not going to film all that because it's pretty boring watching me just unscrew and rescrew servos, but hopefully when you come back, all this mess will have gone and we'll have 4 brand new servos, and then there's one on the tail, which on this one's had an upgrade because it's been moved out of the fuselage and onto the tail boom. That's actually a McGregor servo. Actually looks like a half decent servo, but again very old. I don't know how old it is, so I think it's best that I replace that. So I'll get that done as well, and then I'll show you where I've got to. Okay, so this is where I've got to so far. So I've been busy swapping all the servos out. So as you can see, I've got all these Savox servos installed. Kept all the original linkages because these all seem absolutely fine, but obviously put new servo arms on. These had wheels on, but the wheels that came with the Savox ones were a lot smaller, so I've just used the 6-sided wheels. The only one I reused was for the collective pitch one, because I actually couldn't get these ball joints off, and it still fitted on there, and it was in good condition, so I've kept that one as it is, but all the rest I've replaced. So I've got all these labelled up, so I've just put some, these are only temporary labels on, just a bit of masking tape for when I plug them into the receiver. So we've got pitch, aileron on that one. You can't really see what it says, but obviously I can. Just put a little bit of, you can't see it there really, but some snake skin where the servo wires come around here, so you can sort of just see that snake skin there just to protect those wires. And then you can see I've cleaned all this up around here because there was like gummy tape all over it, like all around here, all up here, there. Got that off as best I can, and then I've put a new 3M pad on there, which is locking these 2 servo wires in, and they're going to come round and plug into the receiver here, and then I'm going to refasten to that the battery monitor, so that's going to sit on there like that. And I've checked, you can easily see that through the canopy window in that position. It was up here, but you'll be able to see it fine there, and that's a good way for me to keep these servo cables neat and tidy. So pleased with all that. One thing I will say, as I've been taking everything to bits, I've been checking, so for example like this collective pitch arm, just been checking the movement of it, and everything is really slick. Nothing's binding. You know, nothing feels stiff or anything like that. Everything moves really easily, so that's good to know. And then the other one I sorted as well was the tail rotor servo, which is on the boom here. So I do need to get this installed. That's going to be one of my next jobs. But before I do that, I went on eBay and I've bought this, which is a carbon fibre bottom plate that I believe should go on here. So I think you put that on. Yeah, it goes on like that. Before I put the skids on. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do next now, is get the skids on and get this carbon fibre plate fastened on. Just adds a bit of extra strength. So in terms of the skids, I've got this rather battered looking one, so I need to take this off. It's just a grub screw, but looks of it, that probably just wants chucking away. The bolts are there, but he did include another one for me, which is also looks like it's seen better days, but at least I can use that front skid to make up. Okay, so just looking at the way the skids go on, it's a bit brutal in a way. It's just like a self-tapping. These are what has been supplied with it. Basically just like a self-tapping wood screw pretty much, and it just screws into these. So not the best, and particularly that one at the back there is kind of damaged. So there's a big one for that, but I don't like the way it rubs against the fuel tank, to be honest, but it looks like it's always been like that. So obviously I've got this plate just to install on here like that. So I think what we'll do first is just get this back one screwed in place. Very crudely, really, like I say, with a big self-tapping screw. Yeah, so that's okay. Okay, that's got that on. Not particularly great, but it is what it is. Anyway, there it is. It's sat on those. At some point, well, the problem is you've got to replace those with something different. You've got to take the whole thing off, which you can still get these. I've seen these available on eBay, the whole sort of frame, but obviously that's a massive job to get that off. I think looks like it would be a huge job. So anyway, that will have to do for now. So next thing I'm going to do now then is I'm going to get this the tail boom put on. There's no reason why we can't get this put on now, or shall I wait? Yeah, I think what I'm going to do next, actually, because the problem is as soon as I put that, it's like when you working on a plane and you attach the rudder and elevator. As soon as you do that, it then becomes a bit of a faff to move it around while you're trying to work on it. So I think next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this Velcro off. I've cleaned all that up because there was another big sticky pad there. I've gone through my box of spares and I've found a 2500 milliamp 6-volt pack. It's a decent one as well, an Overlander iron loop one. So that's going to sit on there. I'm just going to fasten that down with a sticky pad, and then obviously this Velcro will go over it. And then I've got this out of my box of spare radio gear as well. So this is the Free Sky TWR8. So it's an 8-channel twin 2.4 gig redundant receiver. So that should work perfectly for this. So that's going to sit on there, and then I can get these horrible bits of masking tape off, get all this plumbed into the receiver, and we can start neatening up some of the cables. So I'm going to get that done next, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so we've got most of this done now. Got the new receiver installed on top of the battery, so I've just used a sticky pad and then the Velcro strap that was already there to secure that down. And then the battery monitor is on here, stuck to a sticky pad as well. And then I've just put a brand new switch in because the switch that was in was a little bit worn. So gone for one of these sort of ones with the metal plates, a nice sort of chunky switch with a good positive click, which is what we like. I've started routing some of the cables, and I'm using this the snakeskin stuff. Just need to crimp that off once I've finalised where everything's running. I've heat shrinked the battery to the switch cable, so that should be nice and secure. Probably just need to hook this up a bit so it's not just dangling like that, although it's not too bad, but I'll figure something out with that. And then aerial wise, I've got one sticking up here, which is at the back of that sticky pad, and then the other one is just sort of coming underneath the Velcro strap, so it's kind of got that L shape, which hopefully should be good. And I've just got a little bit more of the snakeskin here, which you can't quite see because of the light. There we go, that's better. So it just neatens up the cables and stops anything getting caught, or if it is slightly rubbing on something, I've got some there as well. If it, say for example, if this arm catches the cable, it's only going to catch that snakeskin, and it's a lot smoother, so it's not going to damage any of the servo leads. So yeah, quite pleased with that. It's loads neater than it was. So yeah, that's good. And then I've just got the charge cable, which I've just left hanging out there. So last job I've got to do, and that's where I'm going to finish this particular video, is we've got to put the tail boom on. So it's going to start looking like a helicopter then at last. So we'll get the tail boom on, and then I've just got to run that last cable, which is, I think there's some fasteners here built into the body. So I'll run the cable along there through this snake skin, and then it's going to go into channel 4 around there. So let's get the tail boom and have a look. Okay, so time to get the tail boom in then. So I've got the belt that's 90 degrees to the tail rotor, and I've made sure that when that spins in the right direction, that the tail rotor is spinning in the right direction. So I guess we've just got to feed it in. There's 2 pulley wheels, so we've got to get it in between the 2 pulley wheels. And there's 2 sort of pins inside here that I'm guessing locate this in place. So let's see if we can get this on. It's going to be one of those, you know, it's going to be probably quite fiddly, but we'll see. Never done this before either, obviously. There's got to be a way. Right, I'm going to fiddle with it, and then I'll show you when I've done it. Probably going to be a few swear words. Okay, well, it was actually quite easy to do in the end. I just got this and kind of just used that to lever it into place. Didn't force it in whilst turning it, and it just sort of flipped on. So that is all done. Tail is turning nicely there, as you can see, in the right direction. So nice to have the boom on. It's looking like a proper helicopter now, which is good. So there is one last thing I'm just going to get done in this episode. I've got this new gyro to fit on, which is going to fit on the back here. So I'm just going to get that unpacked and get that fitted on, and then we'll wrap it up. Right, so I've got the gyro installed, relatively straightforward. I'm just set it up in the most simple way. So I've just got a lead, the servo going in here, and then this is just going to channel 4, the rudder channel on the receiver. I'm not bothering with remote gain or S-bus or anything like that. If you don't connect that, the gyro automatically defaults to just doing the gain on the gyro itself, so you just get a little screwdriver with it and to change it. So very manual, keep it simple. That's all I want to do for the first flights, and maybe once I get into it a bit more I might change it so it's got remote gain, but there's no real advantage, I don't think, with this, because it does say as well in the instructions you're not meant to adjust it in flight, because that can there's a lot going on when you're flying a helicopter, and probably the last thing you want to be doing is messing around with the gain. So you've got to land it anyway, adjust the gain on the transmitter, take it off. The only advantage you get is you don't have to walk over to the helicopter every time, but of course once you've got it set you shouldn't have to make too many tweaks to it. So I'm just going to leave it as it is, keep it simple. So that's going to wrap this video up. Oh yeah, just to show you the cable run again, that's just coming down there, hooked it into the little servo cable holders which are moulded into the fuselage, which is quite cool. So that just goes along there through my snakeskin stuff and into the receiver. Last little job I've got to do on that receiver is just put a little bit of glue, like I use the E6000 glue, just put that across the top of the plugs, and it helps to keep those in place so they don't come out. So there we go, looking good. So that's going to wrap this video up. I hope you've enjoyed watching along to that. I'm going to do a second video now, which is just going to get it finished off. Obviously I've got to finish putting the head together, so I've got to get the top bit on and the rotor blade holders, get all the linkages set up, get the radio gear set up and all that sort of stuff. That's all coming up in the next episode, so if you're enjoying following along, why not hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon, and then you'll know when I release another video. And if you've enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up, that helps me out on YouTube, so I'd appreciate that. And thanks as usual to everyone who's already subscribed, really appreciate you being part of the channel, and I'll see you soon for the next one.